Good day. Welcome to Westchester Talk Radio, westchestertalkradio.com. I'm John Marino, and we are produced by Entergy, the Indian Point Energy Center, supporting our communities right through the spring of 2021. And made possible also by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. And also brought to you by White Plains Hospital. At White Plains Hospital, we thank all of our heroes for all they've done throughout this COVID-19 pandemic we've dealt with for the last year plus now. And by Hightower Westchester. At Hightower, they manage your wealth to a fiduciary standard. We are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible as well, and we are joined by 91st District Assemblyman Steve Otis. Steve Otis represents the Sound Shore area of Westchester. Steve, welcome back to Westchester Talk Radio. Today is the final day of March. The $200 million question is, will the budget be ready on time tomorrow?
I think not. I think it's going to take a few more days. There are a lot of moving parts, and I think we're not that far away, but it probably is going to be closer to the weekend. And in fact, when we're done here, I'm going to be going into another budget briefing, but it's, I think, going to be a very good budget in terms of meeting a lot of our coming out of the continuing COVID crisis, a lot of impacts on small business, on schools, on communities, on people out of work. And there's a lot in this budget that is going to help address those issues, and a lot of help from our federal friends, from our friends in President Biden, the U.S. Senate, our congressional delegation have done a good job of providing resources that are going to help, in addition to what we're doing at the state budget level.
Mm-hmm. What are the hang-ups right now that might prevent the budget from getting done by its April 1 deadline?
Well, there's still some components of education, some components of social services and health that remain to be resolved. One issue that I am fighting very hard for is an initiative that I have brought forth as chair of the Science and Technology Committee, and that is to create a statewide digital inclusion grant program, which would provide, this is the model that's used around the country to provide digital equity for people that aren't part of the digital world. And so digital inclusion grants go to local not-for-profits who provide affordable broadband access, training, and tech support, and a device for families that really can't afford this. But in this day and age with COVID, healthcare needs, job search needs, or your kids remotely in school, you need this. So New York needs a statewide grant program. This is one of the open items that I'm following very closely because this is my proposal.
Mm-hmm. Would have been great if we had that a year ago, right before the pandemic hit, to have everybody in disadvantaged areas be able to wire up.
Well, the school districts have done a very good job on their part in terms of providing kids that don't have devices with devices. And school districts have also played a role of trying to get a connection to homes that don't have connections. But there are gaps, and they're not all being met. And so there's a lot going on the broader broadband area. Not so much in lots of Westchester, but upstate there are areas where you can't get broadband. And so that's another problem that is still unresolved, but may be resolved in the next few days, or may be resolved outside of the budget. We're not sure yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, you stepped up to address this issue. You also stepped up with schools in mind to make possible a high school high-risk winter sports season. Football, wrestling, basketball, football part of the Fall 2 season, which is in progress now. And we had hockey, too, also with the high-risk winter sports. You were at the forefront of helping to put together the guidance for spectators to make all of this happen.
Well, I think what, hearing from coaches and parents that run these youth programs, and it's not just the school sports, it's also sort of these youth soccer, youth hockey kinds of programs. They're trying to find a path with which they can function safely. And I think the experience has been pretty good, that most of these sports have gone on with careful protocols, generally not using locker rooms, which is one of the key areas for spread. And so it's happening now with the football season. We had an abbreviated ice hockey and basketball season, and it's going to continue to be something that you have to follow. And I would say more broadly, you look at the NFL and the NBA and the NHL, and they're all, and Major League Baseball, they've gone through a piece of this last year and into this year. They're constantly reevaluating their protocols as they go forward, because this is going to continue to be a problem. The NFL did pretty well, but for a local sports situation, there are advantages and disadvantages. They don't have the resources of a major league sport to devote to going into a bubble and things like that. On the other hand, an analogy, Major League Baseball, their new protocol for the new season is they don't want the players showering at the stadium. So it's sort of funny, just like your little Babe Ruth or little leaguer, Major League Baseball players maybe are going to be arriving in their equipment, and mommy will let them out of the car and they go and they play. So everything comes together.
Now, major controversial issues that have been dealt with, for example, protecting those who are unemployed, also working to make sure small businesses have adequate protection here during the pandemic. You've worked with all of that. You've also worked with legalizing marijuana. You've been in the middle of the online gaming issue, whether or not these areas should be legalized. It looks like marijuana is going to be legalized. How about online gaming?
That's still an open question, and it's actually mixed in with a number of other gambling type of issues, because there's the online gaming. There's also the proposal that's important to Westchester, which are the downstate racinos going to be able to become, or how soon are they going to become full casinos? And so at Yonkers, this is an issue there that is important for jobs in Westchester. My colleague, Gary Pretlow, who is the chair of that committee in the Assembly and has been chair for many years, is the key person in terms of the negotiations of those issues, and that is unresolved as we record here today. But on the other issues, the adult use cannabis was passed in both houses last night. We went till about 10:30, and I think two things to reflect upon is that the bill is very much different than it was when it was proposed many years ago. Many changes based upon the experiences of other states, and a real desire to deal with the inequities of the criminal justice system and who has been, in a sense, dealt with the enforcement, the criminal enforcement of those laws in this state, so much based upon race and color. And so that and with New Jersey, Vermont, and Massachusetts have already taken this step, trying to provide some level of equal treatment and better regulation here, rather than it still being an illegal market here. So that bill goes to the governor and he will sign it.
If you have been arrested for marijuana possession in the past, will your record now be expunged, clean slate? For low quantities, that will be the case. And for higher quantities, you still might have a legal issue to deal with then.
I think it would depend. I think there'd have to be other elements of criminality in that. I'm not an expert on exactly how that language ended up, but the idea is to expunge things that would no longer be criminal under the new law is the general premise, and that makes sense. Again, it also comes in the specter of, depending upon where you live and in this state, what community you live in and how this is handled as a law enforcement matter, there's a real desire to undo the unequal treatment, because some people went to jail, have criminal records. Other people were sort of like, okay, no problem, don't do it again. That's not right. And we have to have equal justice and equal treatment in this country.
91st District Assemblyman Steve Otis here on Westchester Talk Radio. Steve represents the Sound Shore area. You worked together with Yonkers State Senator Shelley Mayer and Rye Town Supervisor Gary Zuckerman to reform the Portchester courts to make these courts now part of the Town of Rye Justice Court system. What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, the village of Portchester decided, as villages have the right to do, to dissolve their village court. And so by operation of law, that responsibility, in this case on May 15th of this year, is going to fall upon the town of Rye to handle that caseload. So the town, Gary Zuckerman came in with an analysis of what they needed in terms of how many judges, what it was going to look like, but they needed special state legislation passed quickly to enable them to be up and running on May 15th. And so in both the Senate with Senator Mayer and in the Assembly, we're able to work with Gary on crafting the bill exactly the way their plan asked for it, and then get the bill passed and signed by the governor very expeditiously to give them the time they need to get the judges appointed. Those judges will be appointed for this year on an interim basis, and those spots will be up for election this November and going forward. And so the net is going to be the savings or the reduction of one full judge position between the village and the town, but they still needed to add 2 positions to the town to handle the caseload, which is extensive from the Portchester courts. And it was a nice partnership between the senator, myself, and the town to get those details worked out carefully and to get the bill passed.
Governor Andrew Cuomo accused by a number of women of some sort of misconduct to some level. Also, the investigation about the COVID nursing home scandal. Also, the Tappan Zee Bridge, Mario Cuomo Bridge issue. Was there a cover-up about potential structural damage in the early days after the bridge opened? Now the news story about whether or not the governor used state resources to benefit his family in the early days of the pandemic. Roll all of this together, the investigations from the state AG, from the Assembly. Should Governor Andrew Cuomo step down?
I think at this juncture, that's not the right question. And I think that all these matters are being investigated by the Assembly. Some of these matters are being investigated by the Attorney General's office, and that's the right way to go. So I have not called for him to step down, and I don't think he should. And I think that everyone is due a process and have all charges seriously heard and heard independently and objectively, and the governor and his attorneys are able to defend and give their side of the story. So that process is underway. And I think the important thing is that government is functioning. We're having a budget process that is orderly, and that everything is going along, and the investigations will take their own course through in the Assembly. Our Assembly Judiciary Committee is quarterbacking that.
Is there anything in this budget that you wish would be in there right now, but not feasible to get it in now, maybe a year down the road if all things go according to plan?
Well, we're not all done yet, so I'm not sure what's ultimately going to be in or not. I'd say one area that is a big priority of mine is foundation aid for school districts. And I've been a big organizer in the Assembly of getting our low percentage foundation aid districts that are really not getting the amount that statistically they should be getting them an extra boost up. And so in the budget, we are going to have those districts going up to at least 60% of the amount that they are due. And within 3 years, all districts will get 100%. But this has been a big personal priority of mine. I represent some of those districts, but I organize members throughout the region, not just even in Westchester, to try and get those numbers bumped up. It's been something I've been working on for the last 5 years. And I do represent one of a few districts, Portchester, New Rochelle, Rye Neck are in that category, but this affects a lot of districts all over the place, and 77 districts statewide, and that is going to be in the budget. I'm very happy about that. Worked very hard, and Senator Mayer, who's chair of the Education Committee in the Assembly has been a big advocate for that in their House as well.
State Assemblyman Steve Otis represents the Sound Ashore area, 91st District in Westchester. We thank you as always. I know you have to get back to some more budgetary negotiations before all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before it's all done. Let's talk again real soon. Thank you.
John, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on with you, and good questions, and you do a great job.
Thank you. Much appreciated. You do too. We thank you for all you do in the Assembly locally for us here in Westchester and across all of New York State. We know even though you are a Westchester guy, your concern is every constituent, every resident of the state of New York, and we thank you for that.
Thank you, John. Have a great day.
You too. Here on Westchester Talk Radio, The Cup of Joe political show. I'm John Marino, produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Entergy, the Indian Point Energy Center, supporting our communities right through the spring of 2021. Wartburg Healthcare and Rehabilitation in Mount Vernon, Park Sterling Realty of Bronxville, and Michael Labriola, Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk. Catch all of our Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, and Fairfield County Talk Radio programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube.